Yes, yes, yes. Good afternoon, good morning, afternoon. Uh, this is my intonation. I want to do without it always. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening from every part of the world that you are calling in from. We welcome you all to another section of Safety Moments to Aliola, where we enlighten ourselves on Zoom on various health and safety topics, courses that we can actually learn and improve our skills on health and safety. And I'm happy to have lots and lots of people joining as soon as we click. Now we have 17 people in progress. Wow, we have a lot of professionals here already. We are welcoming you all, Mr. Ejiro, as usual. Thanks for coming. Abanom Isakpa, my guy. Yes, thank you for coming to this moment. We have our erudite scholar in health and safety with us already, Mr. Julius Apon. We have Mr. Timothy. We have Shiwike. We have Mr. Lalekon. We have Mr. Alexis. We have our boss said day. We have a lot of people already joining in, and we have people still waiting in the waiting room as usual. So quickly, I will make some people as we used to do always, we'll make a couple of persons co-host because our network can do some funny things sometimes. So in case the network networkalize me, so I'm making Mr. Ejiro the co-host, and I'm also making I saw one of my okay, I think is Mr. Joseph Sejuro. Also, we could have made everyone the co-host, but we want some people to take this responsibility. Yeah, Mr. Abanom too. We have to be our co-host should in case the network disrupt me from here, so the class can continue. So we already have our scholar, we have our professional with us, Mr. Julius Apong, who will be taking us through this section for today. We are still trying to invite people in. We are still trying to share. You can also watch us live on YouTube. As we are speaking with you, we are currently live on YouTube, so you can also watch live on YouTube. It's that easy. So you can inform everyone, tell them, let them know that we've started already. So we are craving our Jordan to give us few minutes, like 2-3 minutes, so that we have a better number of people. We are good already. We are good already, but to make it better, I think we should just exercise some patience till we get to a good number in a couple of minutes. Kindly share across everyone across the platform, inform them, alert them, let them be aware that the training has started. Please, if you can hear me clearly, kindly signify in the comment section that you can hear me loud and clear. Please kindly signify that you can hear me loud and clear. Please kindly signify that, because I have Mr. Oyerodba Abraham saying that he can't hear me. Please, if you can hear me, please kindly signify.
I can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Shibuike Matthew. Thank you, Shibudon Matthew. Thank you. Please, any other person, please kindly drop in the comment section if you can hear me. Okay, loud and clear. Mr. Julius, our guy, said he can hear me loud and clear. Mr. Joseph said he can hear me loud and clear. So please,
I can hear you loud and clear.
He can hear. Mr. Shibuike can hear. So Mr. Oyero by Abraham, I think you should find a solution to that. Maybe it's from your side. So not to waste our time, we still have people joining. We have people joining from different parts. So you can also share the link for people. You can also share the link to watch live on YouTube. For those who wants to watch from YouTube, that is the link to watch from YouTube. Yes, okay, yeah, it's from your device. Thank God it has been sorted. So from YouTube, you can actually send them this link to watch on YouTube. So we are still waiting for a couple of persons to join us. Once we hit the 20 mark, we start immediately. I hope if you are in support, let's say hi. If you are against, let's say nay, so that we can start immediately. We have 19 already. Yes, we have 20 already. So it's a wonderful episode. Like we used to always we are to make a formal commitment to improve in our experience in health and safety and to spread the safety knowledge across the platform. Our safety discourse goes across all areas of health and safety, construction industry, manufacturing. Today we'll be focusing on the power plant, on the electrical industry. We also talk about home safety too, when we invite the general public to discuss about health and safety that has to do with home. So we discuss about various health and safety topic every single week, and that is our plan to continue it like this way. So today we have with us our safety expert, our safety professional. I call it one airtime scholar in health and safety. Quiet, but when you hear him speak, you know that yes, this is an embodiment of health and safety knowledge. So the person we have with us today is Mr. Julius Akron, who is very passionate about occupational health and safety and corporate sustainability professional. He's currently the head of QHSE at Edin Power PLC. He has supervised and implemented hazard controls around water and gas pipeline, fabrications and installations, power generation from lean gas generation, waste heat recovery boiler installation for tree generation, tablet capsules, and drip manufacturing, aircraft maintenance and operations, logistics, and lots more. You can see that the topic of today actually goes around this professional that we have us today on this episode. Also, it's one of experience spanned over the past 17 years. Julius because degree in applied chemistry from the University of Calabar. The echo is kind of much, it's cracking. Oh, I think that should be the half of other people that would help us. So member of American a member of Institute of Standards and State fellow of the Institute of Nigeria and member of the Chemistry of Nigeria. He attended many courses and conferences and many credible accomplishments to show for it. Specialty, security management, hazard identification, risk assessment, contractor management, risk management, safety presentations, and cost designing. As you can see, perfect for the job. Safety system development and execution, safety auditing, excellent trainer, proficiency in Microsoft Office, Excel, communication skills, both written and verbal. So, please, if you can hear me loud and clear now, please kindly signify. The network can be fluctuating from here. These days, we're having network issues right and left. Please, if you can hear me loud and clear now, kindly signify. Okay, I'm better now. Thank you very much. So I would invite to the podium Mr. Julius Akron. Please, sir, you have the floor. And please let us mute ourselves. Let us mute ourselves so that we won't distract others. Mr. Julius, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Waliu. And maybe I should start by thanking you so much for your passion for health and safety and the great job you have been doing. I mean, it's no mean feat. Those of us who have been watching and following all your great works, we know how much effort and time it takes to get such materials on the net. So I want to really seriously thank you for that great job you've been doing. The funny thing with health and safety is that when you are doing a good job, you don't know the impact until the day something goes wrong. You know, so I mean, for as many people as are stumbling on the videos you are putting on public space, you are saving lives every day by putting those videos. Some of them you may never get to meet. So that's why I said it takes a lot of passion to be able to do health and safety. Your pay doesn't have a limit. Well done. Okay, so today I just want to share with us briefly on the safety management within in a power plant. I deliberately chose not to say in the power generation, in the power industry, because the power industry is so broad. So we are talking about a power plant. If you can make me a co-host or something so that I'm able to just share a screen to talk through, that would be fantastic.
I think I thought I made you a co-host already. Okay, let me see. Oh, sorry. All right, sir. You're now the co-host. Done already.
Great, thanks. Okay, so I'd like to talk to us about safety management in a power plant, management of HSE in power plants. First of all, I'd like to say from my profile that has been read, I am passionate about HSE across board, but my experiences have spanned across the pharmaceutical industry, the aviation industry, construction, oil and gas, and now the one that I'm not going to leave in a hurry, power generation. The power industry is very big. Power industry, there is generation, there is transmission, and there is distribution. In generation, it's even wider because there are a lot of private players within that space. And I've worked a lot within, when I say private players, I mean those we call captive power plants. So those ones just, you call them, you have a big company like Heineken or Coca-Cola, you call them to come and put their plants within your facility and generate power for you. Those are different from the big ones like Egbing Power PL.
I think Mr. Julius, I think we lost you. We can't hear you again, sir. Mr. Julius, I think we can't hear you again. Can you? I think we are having serious network issues today. Hello, Mr. Julius, can you hear us, sir? I think the network has done the usual. He has been kicked off. So we will be waiting for him to join us again. Please kindly exercise patience.
Sorry, my people, I'm very, very sorry. I think the network here is so bad. But is it better? Can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear, sir. Can you hear loud and clear?
Okay, so I'm signing in on 2 devices now, so that if one goes off again, the other will stay. All right, so I don't know where we stopped. Where did you stop? We'll just start all over.
Yeah, you were telling us about the differences in power in the different power industry sectors.
Yeah, so I was saying that electric current is generated from the generation industries and sent to the transmission, through the transmission to the distribution. So it's and then the distribution are those who use step-down transformers to send it to our different houses. So I was also saying that I will talk through it from planning, implementing, checking, and acting, then talk about how to do your reports. And then finally, the attitude that wins. I don't know, Wally, how much time do I have?
Sir, you have the floor, sir. The whole session is for 2 hours, from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. So you have the floor, sir.
Great. Okay, so we'll see what we can do within even less than that.
The only issue
time.
you can be having is the network.
Yeah, well, I want to believe my network is stable now. Hopefully, we don't have network challenges again till much later. Right. So But please, if at any point in time you can't hear me, those of you who have my WhatsApp can just chat. But I hope that I'm able to stay on throughout. Right. So the power industry is very broad, like I said, very, very broad. And I said from generation, they will manufacture, as it were, produce the current, send it through the transmission lines, the long, big transmission lines that we have, through to the discos. The discos, the generation companies are called the GenCos. The distribution companies are called the discos. The transmission company is one and one alone in Nigeria, the owners of the infrastructure, the government itself. So we generate from the generation companies as the GenCos, and then the transportation medium for whatever we have generated is the transmission company. They pass whatever we have generated through to the discos. So one of the problems we have with power in Nigeria is the fact that the transmission, which is owned and run by the government majorly, has very poor infrastructure. And then, of course, the GenCos that have been privatized also have their own problems with investments, old equipment, and the rest of it, which aging equipment and the rest, which also are their own challenges. They also have gas fluctuation challenges, which are, this is me just giving us the background of the industry before we delve into safety. So which are some of the reasons why we don't have as much generation as we should have. Sometimes, oh, you have fixed your equipment, you are up and running and ready to fly. And then the gas suddenly shuts down, or they tell you from Chevron or gas owners, Gas Link and Co, they call you and tell you, oh, we're servicing our gas infrastructure, and that becomes a problem. So at the end of the day, there are multiple challenges that affect power generation in Nigeria. A good solution to it, let me not sound like I'm giving presidential manifesto. A good solution to it would be that we solve the gas issues, we solve the transmission facility issues, and then we make a very huge investment into the GenCos, you know, to ensure that the GenCos are able to take care of themselves and put the right investment into generating power. So it's a very, very, very huge investment that is, and beyond making investments is getting the right people who are experts in the field to be able to effectively carry out the job of generating the power professionally. So it's very, very important. Very, very, very important. So the power plants that I'm talking about today are at the generation phase. So, I mean, power plants, basically, I'm not talking about transformer substations or high tension wires. I'm talking about power plants which use turbines, which use generators, you know, to generate the current. Some use water, that is the hydroelectric power plants. Some use gas, natural gas plants. Some use HFO, the heavy fuel oils. Some use diesel, you know. But what is important for us to know here is that they all range in size from 1 megawatt capacity plants to, I mean, in Nigeria, the biggest that we have is Egbin power plant with an installed capacity of 1,320 megawatts. And in fact, in sub-Saharan Africa, that is the biggest power plant. We are proud to own it here in Nigeria. So these power plants generate, like I said, using, like, some use steam, some use gas turbines, and the rest of them. In fact, I have been to power plants where they use generators, but heavy plants, very heavy generator plants, which do from 1 megawatt to sometimes 2 megawatts, sometimes 3 megawatts capacity. I've also been to plants outside of Nigeria, which do some 66, the ones that are made by Wasilla engines. Those ones can do about 66 megawatts per engine, and some can do like up to 150 megawatts, like that. And these plants are really big, very, very big. They occupy a lot of space. So I'm making all of this background to allow you know the extent, the degree of the hazards that you can find in this environment. So if you work in a power plant, if you are opportune to work in a power plant, you will get construction experience because you will be supervising projects. For instance, you work in a place where they are expanding and they are doing installations, of a gas power plant project, for instance. You will be part of the team that is monitoring that installation. So you'll be doing project phase HSE. They'll be fabricating water lines. They'll be fabricating gas pipelines. They'll be fabricating a lot of things. They'll be importing things, turbochargers and the rest of them into the country. They'll be offloading a lot of containers using cranes and forklift trucks and the rest of them. They'll be carrying out tests on boilers and installing boiler tubes and the rest of them. As they do all of these activities, you who is a HSE man, who is supposed to be checking these things, you're bagging experience that will help you to work if you are to get a job in construction industry after you live there, if you are to get a job in the oil and gas offshore service areas, if you are to get a job anywhere at all. After you work in a power plant, you bag enough experience that can guide you through, even in the manufacturing sectors. Because at the end of the day, sometimes you are supplying power. If you work with a captive power company, like the likes of Mikano, the likes of John Baker, the likes of Cummins in Nigeria, the likes of Globalec, if you work in any of these companies who do make supply of electricity to the oil and gas, to the manufacturing industries, as you go to different plants to supervise HSE, if you're a versatile person, you still look at the processes, and gradually you are catching glimpses of what's going on, and you're learning a lot of things. So the power industry, for me, is one of the best places to work because it also gives you chemical safety experience. In a power plant, they need hydrogen to cool the power plants. Hydrazine, ammonia, all of these are chemicals they work. For instance, in the demean water plants, in some of the power plants, you need a demineralized water plant. In such places, a chemist needs to go there, pick up samples, go to the lab, carry out analysis. A chemist also needs to do analysis of the water that is coming into the system and the water that is leaving the system. They need to take samples into the lab and check the water using different chemicals that can be injurious to health. They need to take oil samples, go to the lab and check, the constituents, the chemical composition of that oil, if it meets requirements. As all of these things are happening, you are thinking about the safety of the chemist. So you are also doing stuff around chemical safety within that power plant. So, working in the power plant is a big advantage for occupational safety and health professionals, including quality professionals, because, it opens your eyes to a wide array of areas wherein if you live there, you're able to work effectively. But again, that is if you are serious about what you're doing and you are ready to move your profession to the next level. Then you will see these things as opportunities. The unfortunate thing I found out before I continue is that some safety professionals go there and they are only interested in their little baby safety alone. So they just concentrate on their baby safety and they don't check anything else. They don't bother about life and safety, and they don't think that those areas, like, for instance, if you read history or you read English and literary studies, and you're opportune to do safety in a power plant, and you tell yourself, well, my own is just safety, and you don't bother about, you know, other disciplines to find out what they are doing and know how to be able to learn, then you see, you find yourself just not maximizing the value that comes from that opportunity that you have. So what is my point? My point is, as we move on, that we seek out the versatility, not just in the power sector, but everywhere that you work. Look for what is far beyond just what you're doing. So before we go into managing HSE in power plants, I would like us to start, first of all, by looking at the hazards. I hope we know that our profession is born by hazards. There will not be the occupational safety and health profession if there were no hazards. So our profession was born in response to human, material, environment, and resource hazards. So it is in making impact, making efforts to address these existing hazards within the human race that our profession is born. And that's why I'm starting by talking about hazards within a power plant. You will see things like direct contact with electricity, because what is generated there is electricity. You will see things like trailing cables, noise, of course, from the generator equipment are the hazards you will see in a power plant. Oil spills, wow, a very big one, both lube oil, as in lubricating oil, and then fuel oil, and all different types of oils that are used within the power plant. It can all leak. And we know that as far as the environment is concerned, oil spills are a big deal. Dust is another thing, because a lot of the equipment by pulling in air and filtering the air and using it to run the system. So in that process, a lot of dust is moved in and out of the equipment. Can we hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear. You can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Yes, we are with you, sir.
Okay, great. Okay,
Yes,
so
I can hear you.
So, and then of course, there are a lot of fire hazards, because a lot of flammable oils and gases are being used. So the fire hazards are, wow, there are so many. Explosions can happen in no time. Unplanned, you can just hear explosions from different areas. You can hear explosions from gas pipelines, from fuel pipelines, from diesel pipelines, pressurized vessels within the power plants. You can get explosions in the power plant from, for instance, the hydrogen gas lines, hydrogen gas cylinders. There are a lot of things in the power plant that can cause explosions. And then concentrated battery acids is also another thing that is present in power plants, because the power plants run on batteries. It is batteries that are used to crank the engines before they can start. So those batteries, sometimes the battery chargers are faulty, sometimes the battery is a poor quality battery, and all of these different reasons can make the battery to explode. And then when it explodes, what happens? The operator that is walking around there becomes a victim, and it can burn the entire face and expose organs of that person. Why am I going this far into this detail? Because the safety man, if he does not know all of these things, then every effort is putting in place, like the type of PPE you give to people who are working with batteries, even during installation phase, you make a lot of noise to make sure that batteries are not installed in the proximity of operators who will be going to switch on the system. So this is very important for us to know, And then you have slippery floors, of course, from water and oils on the floors. Then burns from hot surfaces. There are a lot of hot water pipes, a lot of hot pipes coming from the exhaust of the system. So you don't just touch anything you see anyhow. and then falls from generator top or engine top, or falls from maybe radiator tops for engineers going to do servicing and maintenance on the equipment, or falls from, I mean, in some power plants, you have up to 8th floor of pipelines, concentrated, very, very, very intricate network of pipelines. These pipelines can actually cause a lot of things to go wrong, and people working at their height, trying to fix or maintain anything at that height, they can fall off, and then it becomes a very huge issue. And then, of course, falls through mezzanine floors. Some power plants also have a mezzanine floor. That's like a soft floor where people stay to carry out maintenance. And then falls from the radiator tops. I've said that. Then falling tools. Many times people go at height to go and work, and there are other people doing jobs underneath the height work. What happens, what is most likely to happen in such cases is that tools can fall off on the heads of those working underneath and cause very, very disastrous injuries. So this is another area where safety professionals need to closely monitor to ensure that these things are corrected. Poor handling of chemicals like battery acids, like ethylene glycol. Ethylene glycol is a coolant that most, especially generator companies, use to cool the system. While some big plants use hydrogen, some use other coolants like that. So then, of course, those who have boilers too, boiler chemicals, hot water and steam systems, we must know that a lot of power plants run on steam. So what happens is that they use the natural gas to turn on their boilers. Then those boilers with the steam that the steam, that is the very hot water that they get, they use it to run the rotors. And then those rotors do a lot of radiation per minute. It's those radiation per minute that generate electricity, which is then pushed into the grid as power that has been generated. So you must know that cycle for you to know what to put in place to manage hazards existing from that area. You also have manual handling of oil drums. A lot of drums, oil drums, a lot of oil is supplied in drums. And as these drums come on site, you have to have mechanical devices like trolleys to handle these things properly so that ergonomic hazards do not arise from people trying to handle heavy drums. Some of these drums have 208 liters of lubricating oil or other forms of oil in them. So for anyone to be able to effectively utilize that process, effectively utilize oils in those heavy drums, the person has to have been able to at least, use those mechanical devices advisedly. Very, very important. Right. So I've talked about boiler chemicals, and then workplace stress and fatigue. Work in a power plant can be very, very stressful, especially if the owners of the plant are micromanaging resources. If they are not releasing resources for maintenance, if management is managing money, or there's a complaint from the top that they are not generating enough megawatts, it can be a big challenge. So at that point in time, for you to make any request for any money, for any activity at all, you can almost lose your job from that. In such cases, the hazard level can cause fatigue because you get tired from, I've been talking, the environment, there's a lot of heat in the environment, there are slippery floors, there are so many things, you need so many things to control and it's not happening. So fatigue can happen to both you and the other people who are managing risks within the plant. So workplace stress and fatigue is very real. Then of course, work in power plants is 24/7. So of course, mosquitoes, are a very present issue for those, especially who work at night. Mosquitoes are real. Rats causing leptospirosis is a very serious problem in power plants, especially at night too. Then, of course, you have issues of snakes and lizards. I tell you, I was into a power plant one day for a meeting. This was about 2-3 years ago. About 3 years ago, I went there for a meeting, and all of a sudden, the light in the entire power plant went off. And the risk with such a happening is such a sudden happening in such a plant is that within 2 minutes, that plant can lose 2 million naira because they are producing per minute. A lot of bottles are running on the conveyor belt. Any such error can cause the conveyor belt to jam. A lot of bottles can break. A lot of filling that was going on electronically, automatically can stop happening. Company can lose a lot of money. Is the audio a bit better now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Thank you. So because of that, it can be rats and lizards can be a real issue. And why am I saying this? When you are carrying out your risk assessment, this is an area you must talk about. You must talk about lizards and other animals and rodents within that power plant. Your risk assessment is not complete until you identify these other uncommon parts that can become issues within the power plant. Another thing that easily becomes issues is this our earplug that we distribute to people. Earplugs that we distribute, sometimes you see operators use it and they just remove it and throw. When generators are sucking air, when the equipment is sucking in air to manage the process, they can suck in those earplugs and they become issues. You see sometimes engineers go for servicing and they remove all those earplugs from the generator on the body of the equipment. So it can be a very present issue within power plants. So unauthorized people on site is also another big deal. When you have people, number one, who do not know about the system, they are not authorized to be there, there was no plan for them to be there, and they come to that site, they are a big hazard on site. Why are they a big hazard? Because as soon as they arrive site, they will touch areas they are not supposed to touch. They don't know about it. When they touch areas they are not supposed to touch and they get electrocuted, you have lost life on site. That's one. Two, they can be sabotaged. For instance, small power plants who install within client facility to provide power for the client, like where I used to work, we used to supply power to Heineken, to Coca-Cola, to a lot of other plastic making companies within Lagos and outside of Lagos. Such companies can get sabotaged in the sense that somebody can just walk into the plant and press an emergency shutdown button just to put the power plant, the owners of the power plant in trouble, you know? So, and even those who generate into the grid, you can also have your neighboring community that are not happy with your operation. They can send somebody into the plant who can just go somewhere and switch off the power plant to sabotage your operation. All of these are areas and reasons why when you are carrying out risk assessment, when you work in such a place, and you are carrying out risk assessment, you are talking about your hazards, the type of hazard the plant is exposed to, the risks. You should also effectively mention the fact that you have these unauthorized people on site, and there are quite a number of other hazards, but we will not spend the whole day just identifying hazards. Let's move on. As I go along, anyone that comes to mind, I will still mention it. But to the right-hand side of the slide, you have seen the hierarchy of hazard controls, which we are all very used to. This hierarchy of hazard controls, you see elimination, to design it out, substitution, to use something else, a safer alternative, or engineering controls, like isolation or guarding equipment, then administrative controls, training and work scheduling. That is training the people and adequately scheduling your tasks, so that there are no clashes. And of course, our last resort, PPE. In a power plant, your most often used hierarchy of control is this engineering control. We use it most of the time because it helps to design out risks, design out hazards. I mean, it helps us to cage in hazards, like for instance, the noise hazard. So at the installation phase, you do a lot of attenuation to reduce the noise, the expected noise that will be coming from there. So it's important that we understand this hierarchy of controls and use it to our advantage. Right, let's move on. So at the planning phase, HSE in the power generation or a power plant, at the planning phase, what you do is basically what is generally known. You set up policy, and towards the end of a particular year, you begin to make budgets for the coming year. Before every task commences, you sit people down, the subject matter experts, you make sure to carry out a risk assessment. You look at the method statement, let the engineers, that's why a good relationship with engineers is inevitable here, because you have to sit them down to break the jobs into steps in the method statement. And then as they break the jobs into steps, for every department within the organization, before they start any job, they have to have a toolbox talk wherein people are guided on what they should do and how they should discuss, how to meet up, targets that have been set. And then, of course, prior to the beginning of every year, you also have HSE targets, which you set. Your targets, we're talking about number of unsafe acts and unsafe conditions expected to be reported by people across departments and HODs. You will also be talking about the number of toolbox talks expected to be carried out. You will be talking about numbers of HSE trainings which need to be given within that period. You'll be setting targets generally around all the things you have found out from the plant, also looking retrospectively at what has been happening in the past. Very, very important. And then, of course, you must, at the planning phase, also look at contractor pre-task evaluation. So first of all, how do we select people who become our contractors? What is the HSE pre-qualification process for contractors? And then after that, before they come to start any task, we get their own submissions of risk assessments and method statements. And then, of course, afterwards, we can now look at how we give them inductions to welcome them on site, then what types of jobs they have to do, what are the particular specific risks to the type of job they want to do. In a power plant, the slight difference here is that most of the time, you have people going to work in a place where a lot of them come, they tell you, oh, we have been doing this task, but the particular environment where it's happening is different from how you do it outside. Why? Because number one, there can be cables around that area, live cables, where, that you're working on a particular machine does not mean all the machines on site are switched off. So noise from other neighboring machines will be there. Possibility of sparks, arc flash, explosion from neighboring equipment is also there. So all of these things have to be factored in when contractors come to do a job. So you have to, in pre-qualifying them and in looking at pre-task evaluation, you have to put these things into consideration. And then, of course, before you now issue your permits to work, all of these things are still you plan them first at the planning phase. And then all the hazard campaigns that I will talk about shortly are part of the things you look out for. And then all your accident prevention programs are planned at the planning phase. Like the different safety initiatives that you have for different levels of operation. I will show you some examples later on, you know. And every program that exists at workplace doesn't have to be what has been.
Am I the only one who can hear you? Can you hear us, sir?
Yes, sorry, my network started misbehaving again. But is it better now?
Yes,
Yes, you're audible.
Yes,
You're audible.
sir.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, I think my video
Yes, sir.
reduced my bandwidth. So let me turn it off and then we can proceed. But can you still see my slide?
No, no, sir. You have to reshare your slides, sir.
Right. I guess we all can see them now.
Yes, we can
Sorry
see.
about that. Right. So I've already talked about the accident prevention campaigns. These are all things that we can do to help us to effectively manage HSE within a power plant. Very, very, very key, very, very critical. So I was saying that before I went off, can we hear me?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir. Loud and
Yes,
clear.
sir.
Before I went off, I was saying that the accident prevention program that you have in place does not always have to be what you have copied from other people. Look at the types of hazards you have within your workplace and create a program around it. Recently, I have come up with so many. I'm not going to mention any of the programs, the new ones, because I don't want people to copy it. So I've come up with quite a number of new programs which I have not heard anywhere. In fact, I've given them names that the names are acronyms of things I have discovered within the workplace. And we use that to develop the programs and call them project something. And then ask, you know, create a program around it, create even a 2-week program around that thing. And it helps you build your safety culture and it becomes an accident prevention program within your organization. So very, very important. So these are some of the things that I have copied from other people in the past. These are part of programs I've done about 4 or 5 years ago, places where I used to work. Hazard hunt. This one, it's been an old balance in the safety industry. Mandate card. This mandate card, I did it for aftermarket engineers who had to drive to long distances to carry out a job. I just gave them a card that before you start every job, ask these questions and tick that they are okay before you start doing the job. And then for drivers, I gave them a pre-trip vehicle inspection checklist, which had all round characteristics around how, you know, they could easily conduct their trip. By the time you walk around the car utilizing that cycle, you would have finished this thing. And then, of course, I had another one, H2O, you could see harm to zero. I also copied this one from some people. And then harm to zero, you can see I put the name of the company where I was working then into it to customize it. There's nothing bad with that level of copying, but it's just that sometimes you are not addressing specific hazards within your plant, and you are not being as creative and as innovative as you can, because you are actually endowed with a strong enough capability to be that innovative. But you are not being innovative only because of convenience. There are things to copy. You don't want to reinvent any wheel. But if you see the fulfillment that comes from seeing that you are doing it yourself, the amount of joy you derive is unfathomable. So sometimes, the same way other people came up with this H2O and co, you to try and develop something for the rest of us to copy. So that's great. So very soon I'm going to hit up the public space and talk about a project that I've never heard before, which I have developed by myself. I'll talk about it in full light. Right, so other things that we can do at planning phase is risk assessment and method statements. Of course, I've just discussed them. HSE document implementation, site safety procedures. When I'm talking about that, I mean, you come to a site, you see that the type of work we do, there's hot work, there's confined space work, there is excavation work. There are different types of jobs. So make sure that for every job, there's a procedure guiding it, a safety procedure guiding it, and there's a process to create awareness around it within the workplace and all of that. Your permit to work system, your safety inspections, create a process that allows everybody from every department to be part of the safety inspection process. Housekeeping scorecards should be there, monthly safety campaigns. In a power plant, HSE has to be like you are constantly steering something. Why? Because this initiative has to constantly, you have to always be on air. There's no leave. If you take leave, the number of accidents that will chase after you. So the amount of information that you are giving, you are suppressing behaviors that can cause accidents. Whether you are getting responses or not, push that awareness continuously and bring people into it, involve them. Continuously as you do that, you increase the level of awareness. Then at the implementation phase, everything that you had written down, you know, the PPE plans, the gas and fire detection systems, the permit to work system, the periodic medical checkup for staff. These are photographs from what I have done in the past. So when I'm going to send this slide to you, because these people here might not be happy to see their pictures all over the place, I'm going to remove some of these pictures from the slide that I will send out. But it's okay for those showing on YouTube and co. I'll do a disclaimer to all of them if they see their pictures here, to be happy that they are just passing on the awareness they have gotten to the rest of the world. However, I will not send it in a document to anybody. So these are all programs that are also done at the implementation phase. You can see this was myself here conducting a toolbox talk. You know, these are lockout tagouts. This is lockout tagout in a panel, in a bus bar. You know, a breaker panel. You can see the locks there with the tags, with the safety danger signs, caution signs there. And then weekly safety quotes for heads of departments. So every Friday, we used to send out safety quotes that have to do with leadership to all heads of departments. Then drivers, defensive driving training for drivers, periodic defensive driving training drivers, and defensive driving training for drivers. So we used to go to hold safety meetings with our clients and contractors, make sure that we're assisting to improve their awareness. And then once in a while too, invite external people. This was road safety, talking to drivers about tire safety and how to check expiry on tires. And then get senior management. This was a member of my senior management team fixing safety signs on site. He could have left it alone. He was operations manager. He could have avoided it. But because, I mean, we make sure that through the advocacy, we help everybody understand that they have a role to play. So because of that, he got involved. It's his site. So he sees fixing safety signs on his site as a very crucial aspect of his work. So, and then we brought the electrical team to talk to people about electrical safety. And then we brought some ophthalmologists to do free eyesight checkups for the drivers within the company. I mean, your best engineer can end up on the road in a road accident as he is trying to, as the driver is having an accident that prevents him to get on site. So if you neglect any aspects of the job, it will come back to hurt the most important aspect of the job. and then reward people too. I mean, celebrate small wins. In these photographs here are different people who won different awards at different times. You can see that the awards were not so many big things, so you don't have to wait until there's a big budget, but you can just utilize what is available within you to just appreciate the people and learn how to talk, because this is our profession. You cannot avoid talking. Some of us were actually introverts, but because of the passion that we have for what we do, we have to go and learn how to do a lot of talk. And then talking, not just talking, but talking the right things is very, very important. So, and that's why some of us now sound like talkatives, because we have to talk. We have something to talk about. And if you keep quiet, people will die. If you become a talkative, people will stay alive. So being a talkative in this dimension pays. So get the people involved. This was a fire drill we did. We got some of the senior managers to come and put out a fire. I mean, what better way to lead than practically? So when they did, others joined. It was easy. That was my team there on site, having 2 box talks with contractors. And then that helped us maintain a safe site. And then, okay, this one, I even put the year. Safety week, we went around all the sites to present awards to every operator that we had within the company. These operators work day and night. They exchange shifts to work day and night in a noisy power plant that if you don't protect yourself properly, when you get home, you will be hearing the sound of the generator. Even when you want to rest, in your brain, you'll be hearing gum, 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 like that. So it's important that they are rewarded and reminded of the need to take care of their safety. So when the time came for safety week, we made sure that we took their matter very seriously. So we managed their stress, not just by talking to them, but also by giving them something physical to help them understand that it's important to manage stress. So this was what we did, that campaign for different sites. We also did free medical checkups. And then awards were not just given to operators alone. Senior managers who had excelled in cooperating with us in health and safety performance, we also rewarded them across board. So carry your management along. Those who have not been doing at all, if they end up doing a small thing like this, reward them for that small that they have done. Then you have paved the way. When you reward small things, you have paved the way for them to do bigger things. So always calibrate people. Calibrate them based on what you want them to do for you. So you want them to do something bigger next time. Look for any small thing that they have done and reward it. That is the only way you can ask them to do more. Even if it was a handshake that you saw them give to somebody who did the right thing, sing about it when you come for meetings. Make a lot of noise about it. And the following day, go to them and ask for something. It becomes easy for them to relate with you. That's why we did all of these things. And these were still some of the activities. Following after these ones that we did, there were some that were fixed. Things like every month, we had monthly safety heroes. Sorry, we had monthly safety heroes, and these ones were, I don't know, can we still hear me?
Loud and clear.
Great.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Yeah, so you can develop a program to reward people every month, but please, for this program not to be trivialized, make sure you have clear objectives and there are clear terms of reference. There are clear things that people must do to win a prize so that there are no ambiguities. It's easy to say who has won and who has not won. Because if you don't do that, and the thing is shrouded in a lot of secrecy and a lot of high-handedness and favoritism, that award will not be taken seriously. I tell you, my Safety Hero Award was so serious that at some point, people wanted to come and lobby me for it. And A time I gave it to my GM at the time, excuse me, you can see him in the middle here. The month that I gave him the Safety Hero Award, it caused a lot of arguments in management meetings because people were saying, it's because the following month is appraisal. That's why I gave him the award. But what helped me was the fact that this award had clear standards for who wins. So as this argument came up, the next meeting, I made a clear presentation to everybody as to how this man became the winner. Yes, it affected my appraisal positively because the man was so happy that he took this photograph, this poster, and sent to his family abroad. And they celebrated him so well that he has won a safety prize in his company in Nigeria. But at the end of the day, he deserved it. He did a lot of work to have merited it. In fact, he stood almost 100%. He touched everything that had to do with winning. And yet he's the GM of the company. So he did from leadership to almost janitor level work. And he did it so much so that it was within monitorable, if there's any word like that, was within monitorable perspectives. So it was easy for me to let them know that it wasn't partiality, it was me doing my job. And then don't do this safety work alone. Get members of the organization to join. These were drivers. So we used to have defensive driving months. These are drivers making presentations to people on how to take care of their vehicles and how to drive safely. So get electricians to talk about electrical safety. Get the mechanical engineers to also say something about mechanical safety. I mean, you're in a power plant, so there's a lot of mechanical implication, electrical implications, and co. So involve people. Don't always be the only one talking. Create platforms and let people come there and share knowledge and make it so grand. It's important that we safety people know what to say, the right thing at the right time. Praise the people, but know who to praise, because if you praise somebody who is known as the Baba of boycotting safe work, then what you are doing is encouraging other people to do the wrong things. So your praise has to be managed. So we nominated people, one person from every site to go and learn first aid. It's best to even make sure that everybody in the organization is trained on it, because in a power plant, when two people are on shift and somebody faints because he didn't eat from home or any of those issues or other medical implications, it becomes a big issue. So that's that on implementation. I will also talk about checking later on, but before then, points to note is that we must improve control of work-related risk, maintain and improve workplace controls, every system that has been set in place to control risk, then improve employee competence and awareness. I've talked about that already. Improve engagement. I've also talked about that. Evaluate the context of your operation, so that you can comply with legal requirements. This one is copied directly out of 4.2. Sorry. Yes, I said 2001 plus 4. So it's taken directly out of clause 4. Evaluate the context of your operation so as to comply with legal requirements. And then continually improve the safety management system within the organization. And environmental monitoring and your contribution to the environment is key. A power plant is assumed to be generating a lot of gases, a lot of greenhouse gases into the air. Except maybe you are running a solar or a wind turbine, a photovoltaic. If you are using photovoltaic cells or you are using wind turbines, and that's where you can be said to be running sustainable or renewable energy. Otherwise, what you are doing, even with natural gas, you are still generating heat and CO2 into the atmosphere. So you have to call in a consultant by NESRA regulations. You have to have a consultant at least on quarterly basis who is doing your air quality monitoring who is checking your stack emissions from the exhaust, who is checking your impact generally on the environment periodically. In fact, in more complex power plants, you have to check the demineralized water plants. You have to check how much of manganese, chlorides, bromates, magnesium, all these different elements that are being secreted or emitted from your plant. In other smaller power plants, you have to be looking at things like SOx, COx, and NOx. When I say SOx, I'm talking about oxides of sulfur, that is SOx. So the X can be 2, can be 4, can be 3, can be 6. In COx, I'm talking about oxides of carbon, so it can be CO, it can be CO, it can be CO2, it can be, all of these are contributory greenhouse gases, which are, contributing to heating up the atmosphere. And then, of course, the next ones, I said NOx, oxides of nitrogen, which can also range from NO to NO2, NO3, or NO4, NO6. All of these ones are oxides that can negatively impact the environment, which the NESRA regulations require that people monitor, especially within a power plant environment, so as to ensure that people are that the environment is maintained. So you should also have a sustainability agenda, and that's why I advise safety professionals these days, please don't just stop in OHS alone. You should do your best to include not just OHS, but also sustainability. Sustainability is key in power generation. You don't have it, and it's difficult. It's very difficult for you to prove that you are doing due diligence to the environment. All right, and then, so that's the reduction of carbon footprint I just spoke about. So celebrate minor breakthroughs. When you people make small impacts, small impacts that are being made on a daily basis, on your environmental awareness, on your hazard status, on your number of inspections, numbers of toolbox stocks, actuals against target. Whenever the actuals exceed target or the rhyme with target, celebrate and award people. These things go a long way, especially in a place like Nigeria at a time like this. They go a very, 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 very long way. So what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is you don't have to be buying houses for people for it to make an impact. Just something as little as design a free poster on Canva, put the person's face there, write the person's name and put a fantastic statement of what that person has done and post it there. Or send an email with that person's name to everybody across the organization, including the board of directors. When you do these things, they make a huge statement and they mean a lot for individuals. In fact, it can even increase the amount of money that individual is being paid at the long run. Because these people, if they value safety, they are watching, and in due course, of course, they will definitely reward that person. So it's very important. So let's look at report presentation. I don't know whether we can break for questions here or we go through till the end. Any questions so far? All right, if there is none, let me say that reports are presented in two.
Sorry, sir. Hello, sir. There is one.
All right. Yes. Go ahead with your question, please.
Hello. I don't know if you can. Okay. Let me say in an industry that make use of different point of generating means, generating electricity, sorry. And let me say like gas, diesel, and also PHCN. And anytime, let me say anytime they switch to diesel, carbon fumes that normally comes out from the exhaust. And sometimes the carbon is when the carbon touches ground or touches someone, you will feel a burning bush, just like a burning bush. You will feel have the carbon black feel like that of a burning bush. I don't know if there's any way to solve that issue, because I've asked engineers about it, but they said there's no solution. I don't know.
If it is a problem, it has a solution. There is no problem that doesn't have a solution. Now, this one you're even saying is one of the simplest problems that people can have. Because, I mean, I don't know what type of engineer you spoke to, but if a particular diesel generator is emitting too much fumes or heat, what it means automatically is that the maintenance of that equipment is not optimal. Okay, I will answer only this question, then we leave the rest till the end. So yeah, so what it means is that the maintenance of that equipment is not optimal. So the maintenance people need to look at it. It is a poor combustion process that gives rise to incomplete combustion, which gives out dirty fumes, much more dirty fumes than it should ordinarily be. So if you maintain that equipment in a better state, maybe because they don't use it so frequently, they also don't invest a lot in fixing it. And that's why they keep assuming that after we don't use it often. So excessive and very heavy toxic fumes and heat coming out. So I don't agree with them that there's no solution. There's a solution, and I've told you the solution is to improve the maintenance profile of that equipment. So, okay, as suggested by Aro Fella, let's keep the questions to the end of the presentation.
All right, yes, I can go ahead, sir, please, sir.
So I was going to say that, so in the power industry, reports are presented at different levels. The board of directors, if it's a serious company with health and safety, the board of directors will require a periodic report. Management will require a weekly report. That is the site management will require a weekly report. And some will also need a monthly report. Some directors will require a quarterly report. Some will ask you for a monthly report. Either way, you should be able to give a report that, especially if you are called to defend, that presents what you planned for and how far you are going with achieving the plan. And what is changing, what were the factors that were unplanned for. So I always enjoy using the safety pyramid because nothing describes safety as much as the pyramid does. So at board level, sometimes it's only 2 slides that I send in, this one and one other one, showing just describing initiatives and other activities ongoing. So this one here just shows you on the very top there, you see fatalities. Then next to it, you see lost time accidents, medical treatment cases, over restricted workday cases, then first aid cases, near misses and unsafe acts, unsafe conditions identified over unsafe conditions rectified. So This one will normally be UAUCs identified over UAUCs rectified. So now, so this one is the safety pyramid report I used to give sometimes, and you can see on top there, January to December, or just the period under review, year-to-date man hours, you know, like that, or year-to-date. Year-to-date man hour. Like so basically, and then you come to the far left-hand corner here. Hours worked, you can see it there. Hours worked within the period, the reporting period, lost time injuries, medical treatment. So that's just a table stating what you have indicated here. So what is the implication, the significance of the safety pyramid? Is the fact that you can clearly show them that as these numbers at the base of the triangle are increasing, and higher number of identified ones, you are demonstrating a poor safety culture, because you people are doing well, the staff are really trying their then of course the number of near misses over time will increase. If we have a first aid case, we're already open to bigger problems. And then of course, medical treatment cases and restricted workday cases will join. And over time, if we still abandon it and we don't do anything, then we have lost time accidents or fatalities, which might begin to occur. So you can use this triangle to talk about the general state of health and safety within your organization. Very, very important. So that's why I always prefer to use this triangle, because it gives you a snapshot of the whole. Then in the following slide, you can just now, I didn't put any example because you write as it happens to you. You can just now include, you know, other things. Maybe you are planning to buy a fire truck or an ambulance. You can now tell them what stage you have gone with that process. Or, you know, different updates on different things that are going on, different projects you are doing, or campaigns that are ongoing, what is being planned vis-a-vis what you had planned before. I'll just show you a quick draft. This was a draft I did somewhere a long time ago. You know, you talk about 2 box stocks. I had planned to carry out 962 box stocks within that period, and I had already achieved 1,000. I had planned to carry out 2 box stock for 4,800 people. And as at the time of this report, we had already done 5,000 participants. Internal audits, only 1 was planned for the year and 1 was done. Environmental audits, 1 was done, 1 was planned. Regulatory permit evaluation, of course, the regulators had come and we had passed. Tree planting exercise. So for sustainability, we had planned that we will plant 4 trees for that period, and 3 trees were effectively planted and grew and survived. So regulatory advisory and consultation, we have planned that we would do 72 engagements, and we had concluded them. Random effluent monitoring, the one I told you about earlier on, 12 were planned, 1 per month for the year, and 12 were completed. Random air quality sampling and monitoring were planned and concluded per month. Incident investigation was done 100% because every incident that was recorded was investigated. Supervised waste evacuation, 104 were supervised, were targeted, and were done. And then no lost time injury, no lost time. So in other report templates I have too, you will see like from here from supervised waste evacuation up, you will see leading indicators, and lower down there will be a red arrow showing down as lagging indicators. I mean, there are a lot of much more beautiful templates than this, but these are the simplest. So many different types of graphs, pictograms, and diagrams that can be used. Clean and clear pictorial view. So immediately you cite the report, you are able to quickly understand what it is. And then also, some directors will require that you take each of these items and do a graph of. So all of these are also things you can do. Okay, I skipped this sheet. Here also, we talked about first aid cases, we talked about medical treatment cases, work-related ill health. So from there down, there are lagging indicators. Safety inspections, inspections are leading. Safety management committee meetings, leading indicators, safety representatives committee meetings, and the rest of them. So all these items that allow you measure your performance, your health and safety performance, they're part of the things that you put in the report that is going to different levels of management. So there are also templates for weekly reports, which I couldn't put here because some of them are big Excel sheets, some of them are softwares. So we gather data from that software into the Excel sheet to make these reports. What is important is make sure you have a report that is showing the right things that are of interest to the owners of the business and that speak to a degree of seriousness and importance of the work that you have been engaging in. Because health and safety in a power plant is a means of survival for the business and the people who run that business. So it must be handled with that level of seriousness. Right, so let's quickly talk about attitudes that win. When you manage safety in a place like power plants, the greatest number of people sometimes are engineers, the highest number of people. Engineers are on target. They have been asked to complete certain tasks, certain maintenance jobs within a particular period. The operators who come on site, who come day shift and night shift, also have a boss with whom, I mean, you have to give reports. And if you are, most of the time, you have not related well with them, maybe you are the safety man who is so theory-based, you like to speak English, you always come and speak a lot of English, it pisses the engineers off. So each time they see you coming, their boss can even tell them, please, when that our Englishman is coming, please do this one, and cover up until he leaves so that when he leaves, we can continue doing our job. If you are in that kind of situation, you have lost touch with reality. And there's a high risk because these guys will keep hiding things from you until an accident happens. Sometimes it's only an accident that will tell you that they have just been laughing at you. So what you can do to immediately save the day here, number one, be flexible. And please get me right. Being flexible does not mean that you give in to everything they say just so that you are seen as flexible. Being flexible is that you went to stop a job and they came to you to talk about it, and they suggested alternatives, equally safe alternatives, and you are not saying, no, you must use that method I have said, otherwise, no way, we can't do the job. No, you should be flexible enough to understand other alternative solutions that can solve the problem, rather than just that one you read on Neighbors or that only one that you know about. I give you an instance. There is a section in a big power plant where I visited in Cameroon that is called the condenser neck. Within the condenser neck operators always go into the condenser neck, and they use, when they go into condenser neck to clean, they go to the fire cabinet and remove the fire hose that is in the fire cabinet to enter the condenser neck to go and clean. Sometimes they go into that condenser neck when the thing has just been shut down. Management doesn't want them to waste time because they don't want to have a lot of downtime. So they force them to quickly go and clean the condenser neck, even when it's very hot. And you know, the risk from cleaning that thing at that heating stage is that the guy can even become sterile. Over time, he can become sterile. He might not even be able to make a family. And so, and then of course, the risk of cancer and the rest of them all can emanate from this process. So what do we do? I stop the job, of course. Immediately I go there and see such a thing. I stop the job on 2 counts charge. Number 1, you have disabled my fire. If there's a fire emergency at that time, the hose has been removed. It's being used. I mean, that's a critical emergency violation. So, I mean, I can't continue to work anymore. I can't put out fires because you are using the hose for something else. And then number 2, you are working in temperatures way above recommended for human health. So it is wrong. And so because of that, I stopped the job. And then the supervisor immediately
also
oh boy.
do the convention number.
No, said he's taking care of it.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Can I continue?
Okay, sir. Okay.
I'm trying to mute him, but it's not going. Please, Mr.
You can continue, sir, please.
Please, can you mute yourself?
I saw that the host muted me.
No,
so I was wondering whether I had overused my time.
Please, no, sir. I don't know how that happened. Please, can continue.
All right, no while.
Yeah, sorry, it was a mistake. It was actually a mistake on that.
Okay, in the next 5 to 10 minutes, we should be done so we can ask questions. Okay, so what did I do? I went to the supervisor and said, oh, but don't stop your work, because see what your guys did. And he supported, of course, they will always support their people. Supported them, no. Management is on my case. They need to quickly do that job. I said, no, management is on my case. If a fire happens, they will blame me. So we kept arguing with each other like that until I said, please, I need your help. I'm going to buy but please allow me to use this pipe today, and then I will make it law in my department that nobody uses this pipe anymore. And then I told him, come on, I will do this only on one ground. My pipes are already wearing out. My fire hose pipes are wearing out. To go and buy pipes, the new ones, please buy them and bring them for me. Let's be using them for fire instead of for condenser neck cleaning. Since you're already using my pipes and the continuous usage of them over a long time with this chart, and then we came to an agreement. So the flexibility is not that I said, no, you cannot complete this job. You must return these pipes to where they are supposed to be. In fact, any one of you that ever tries this again, I forbid you, I prohibit you. You know all those grammar we used to speak. Sometimes it doesn't help. So flexibility is that you look at the fact that doing the job is also an important task, which is shared actually between you and the mechanical and electrical people. So don't see yourself as an isolated, standalone part of the business. See yourself as an intrinsic part of the business survival, because this is the best way you can explain health and safety, that you are doing so much that you are doing so much to help the company make its money and to help the people who make money for the business stay alive. That is the best way you can explain your importance on site. So you shouldn't do it in such a way that it so negatively impacts the business on one side. No, total health and safety takes care not just of that area of your insistence to plant your ego over others, but takes a lot into attention also about the survival of the business. Be involved, I think I've explained it into that. Sound like a crucial and important part of the business. So for instance, I don't see what discussion they should be having in the workplace where the safety man is not involved. What process do they want to talk about that does not involve safety? If they are talking about commissioning, if they are talking about maintenance, periodic maintenance of the equipment, if they are talking about, what can they be talking about that is not important to safety? Every aspect, mechanical processes, electrical processes, laboratory processes for regeneration and recharge of hydrogen onto the system, coolant processes, boiler chemical combinations, everything they discuss has a safety implication. You know why? Because human beings will be doing that job, and the human beings will need to stay safe while at it. So if the safety man does not understand the job, then he does not know how to help encourage people to stay safe within that job. Then he is not contributing so much to helping them stay safe. Therefore, he's not doing his job. So for every such discussions, you should be involved. So when they are discussing about annual plans for the entire organization, how the company will grow, you should be a critical part of it. We should know the direction the company is moving at any point in time. So be practical. Don't be a bookman, always writing notices and speaking big English during toolbox talks. No, be practical. You too, once in a while, go and learn some of those their technical jargons, and once in a while, mention them. Carry people along. I was in a meeting with my chief technical officer, and then the man said, as far as this job is concerned, the safety people do not understand anything about what to do. Me, I can't take that from anybody in this world. And that means putting it in my face that I'm ignorant about the technical aspects of that job. I can't take it from anybody. Even if he was my chairman, I won't take it. But I didn't fight with him. What I did was I said, sir, you can't be right in saying that now. Who is the chief technical safety officer of our company? He's our chief technical officer now, and he is a chief technical officer. So, I mean, I'm your boy now. You are the chief technical safety officer. So if you say the safety team doesn't know it, are you saying that you don't know it, sir? How can you not know it? You are the owner of this process. And he smiled and said, you always find a way to get into my skin. And I didn't stop there. At the end of the discussion, I went back to him. I said, so, sir, how do we make this job safe? And he said, okay, Julius, do like this, do like this, do like this. And he wrote out all the steps for that job. And I could see through the steps of areas that we will need to implement safety, to make the people safe. And we started a discussion to help keep the job safe. So you just imagine that I agreed to such, I felt defeated. I mean, it will be so bad. So that's just one thing about carrying people along and being practical. Then organize MFIs. MFIs are management. Sorry, please. MFIs are management field inspections. So get management staff to go to the field and carry out an inspection of a safety inspection of the workplace. The best way to do this thing is to have a close relationship. And I'm not talking about a personal relationship. I'm talking about a professional relationship with members of the leadership team. As you conduct your periodic meetings with them, it's then very easy for you to, through those meetings, set up targets. Them too, they like awards. So as they go and within a particular month, a particular HOD has identified more hazards than other people, praise them for it, and I give them awards for it too. You know, as you continue to do that often, you are improving the safety culture of your power plant. I mean, very, very soon, if I have my way, I'm going to organize a big national award project for power plants in Nigeria as a way of ensuring safety cultures within power plants, because I mean, those are critical areas. Nigeria needs power. And if we are doing very good safety within the power plants, it can also help optimize power generation from those power plants. So if we have a strategic national-based award session that awards performing power plants, I'm sure that it will add to our generation capacity as a country. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for taking this time out with me. MFI is Management Facility Inspection. Management Facility Inspection. So you are periodically allowing members of the management team to go out and carry out workplace inspection. It depends on what is best for your workplace. If in your workplace, the teams are okay such that they can go on their own. If not, you can organize a management safety tour such that in group, they are going together, they are taking a walk through a certain path through the power plant, and they are identifying hazards as they go along. Nobody talks to each other. Everybody just identify your hazard and write down. When we get back to the boardroom, we do a debrief and we all discuss what you have found out. Me, who is the safety man, I take notice of it. And I begin to meet people one after the other to ensure that these things are closed out. You know, that is MFI, Management Facility Inspections. So it's very important. So just to conclude, like I said, what is the most critical hazard in a power plant? The most critical hazard in a power plant is the human beings who work there. If an explosion is going to happen, the easiest and simplest cause of that explosion are the human beings who work there. So the biggest hazard in every power plant is the human beings who work there. Serious-minded professionals can interact with their equipment. They can discuss with the equipment. The equipment can feel their temperature. They can feel the temperature of the equipment. Just passing by a turbine or passing by a generator, a good engineer can understand. A good engineer can understand the life of that. A good engineer can understand the life of that equipment, what the equipment is complaining about. You can feel it from the way it's sounding and all of that. So explosions of power plants, explosions of different things, electrocution of people within power plants only happen when the individuals are not having a good relationship with their equipment. And that is why I maintain my stand that in every power plant, the most serious hazard are the human beings. Thank you very much for your attention, and I look forward to your questions.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Wow, it has been a wonderful moment. Please kindly mute yourself. It has been a wonderful section. Thank you so much for the sharing of how you shared your experience, how you use practical-based approach to really educate us today. So on our YouTube channel, we have a series of comments. We have from Mr. Khalid Abdullah, well done, Mr. Julius, and thanks for the opportunity as Mr. Waliullah. Mr. Layinka said, great. Mr. Abdullah said, okay. We also have a question that says, how much from Mr. Danke or something? How much safety training is given to a new worker before the start of the job full time? How much of a training do we need to give a worker?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Now, for induction into a power plant, because remember our focus today is power plants. So for inductions into a power plant, it's very, very important that you talk about the biggest risk. I used to always recommend that you talk about the 10 biggest risks within the power plant. So whatever you have found out from your risk assessment, that are your 10 biggest risks, make sure to include them in your induction. And then common areas like the first entrance points into the plant, like what you people practice in terms of first aid, like what you people practice in terms of response to fire, the types of PPE used on that site. All of those things should be in the induction training, because when you are talking about what people must get to be able to work, it is what must be given to them first. So that's what we call induction. So this is important. So these general areas are very important.
All right, sir. So the next question that I have here is, thanks, Mr. Julius. How does tracking first aid helps one to prevent serious workplace injury? Tracking first aid cases, FACs, how does it help to prevent first aid? How does it help to prevent workplace injuries?
Okay, I mean, this is a very straightforward question. If I work in an environment where we have five first aid cases every week, what that tells me is that some people are doing things the wrong way, because for them to constantly get injured like that there must be a particular hazard they are not monitoring properly, or they are not interfacing with properly, and it's giving them those injuries. So we ask ourselves, how can we reorganize this activity to reduce the level of injury so as to prevent continuous exposures that are causing these accidents? It's very, very important. So monitoring them can help you reduce accidents. Very important.
Yes, please, I would advise that we drop our questions, so that, because, and if you want to unmute, we will actually make it very brief. So the next question that I have here in the same thing, in an industry, briefly, in an industry where the safety officer is not included in the company's monthly meeting, what can he do to be included? Even when his predecessors did so much for them, he was still not included.
Okay, not including safety in the monthly meeting says a lot about how that company takes health and safety. However, if I go to that company and behave like a manager, you cannot avoid including me in your safety meeting.
Are you there, sir? Okay.
Hello, Wally, can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Okay, so I'm saying that it is inevitable to include people, to include the same included, and you have also done so much and you were not included. And maybe it's a function of the safety culture within the organization. Well, maybe your only option is to set up your own management meeting and invite managers to the meeting. Set up a safety management meeting and invite them to the meeting. If they have refused to invite you to the organization-wide one, you set up your own safety management meeting and invite them.
Eliminate.
Hello?
All right, yes, sir.
Okay.
So the next question says that, I want to be sure I'm not missing any question. Power industry is a place where consequences of an accident can lead to several fatalities. Many times, risk assessment will pick these as low frequency and high consequences. How can this be managed that high frequency but low accident don't take safety personnel time and focus? Once again, maybe I should
Sorry,
do you understand
please
the
take
question,
that
sir?
again. Take that again. I've missed
Power
some
industry, power industry is a place where consequences of an accident can be very fatal at times. Many a times, risk assessment will pick a particular hazard as low frequency and high consequences. How can this be managed that high frequency but low accident don't take the personnel time and focus? Because actually, what you say, I think what you're saying there is that if you have high frequency and there is low probability of getting an accident, how can we manage it for it not to take save personnel times and focus? Since the focus based on this question is to prevent accident only.
Okay, so if we have low frequency and high impact, that means that the people are not as frequently exposed to that hazard, but that any small time something escalates is going to have disastrous consequences. That's what that means, low frequency, high impact. And yes, a lot of these exposures happen within the power industry. So what we all